Hi, my sacred souls, you beautiful light beings. I'm so grateful to be with you in this space again on the Awakened Being Conversations to Create Change. And we're diving into another Marci on Medicine series in tuning into trying to bring language or share the understanding of what it really means to come to this knowing and come to your full liberation. And so, beloveds, I felt really honored that there's a way to share this sacred transmission with you, and that came from two beloveds that were in my last experience, my Journey to Remembrance experience, and one of them was also in my Colombia Portal of Liberation experience. It's Michelle Lee and Megan Camel, and they run a mystery school, a Sophia mystery school, and do many beautiful, amazing works in the world, and are here for great impact. And the way that they, after they had this experience, and they share magical Mondays on their in their communities, and they got to share about their experience. It was put so well and explained so well in how, what does it really mean to come to a knowing and come to your full liberation, and what are some of the codes, the truths that we can receive from a higher level of consciousness that then can allow us to integrate that into our system, and then what does that create in our lives. So they ended up sharing with their community, and it was just such a beautiful transmission. We wanted to make it available for you here, that it can open up some insight into what it really means to come to these divine frequencies, and how to align and integrate them into your life and come to this knowingness, which is so powerful. So I'm so grateful and honored to share this here, and this will just lead into their sacred transmission that they were able to do together. And I really want to honor you so much for being on this journey of just higher awakened consciousness. As we, each of us, becomes more healed and awakened, we then share these transmissions and these codes for others to experience and go, wow, that's how life can be. Whoa, like that's available. Oh, that dissolves that story program idea that I was attached to or holding on to in some way that you might not even be aware of. So there's just so much available, beloveds, to live and operate from a divine natural state of joy and bliss and harmony. And you as a source creator and the source of your experience, the source of your safety, the source of your abundance, just it's all available. So I truly hope that you enjoy this transmission. And if there is anything that you're experiencing resistance with in your life, because it's this just there to be healed and loved and played with and alchemized to be able to have a greater experience, then please reach out either to the team. We can give suggestions, or go to marcilock.com. You can get access to some of our top programs. We rotate and put different ones up that people can receive for free and to be able to dive into, such as the Living in 100% Joy Now or the Freedom Activators. Highly recommend. And you can tune into if there's any other meditations or activations or programs specifically around areas that you're struggling with that can completely, massively begin to change your world. And I also highly recommend, if you've been on the journey for a while and you're ready for all of it, for all of your multidimensionality and your gifts and your codes of light, as well as aligning all of your human experience to align to your greatest adventure, your luscious lovership with life, then I highly recommend the Line to Manifest Mastermind Mystery, which is really a mastery school, that portal. And if you're really wanting to work with these sacred sacraments and have some of your greatest healings of trauma and transformation, and again, activation of codes and knowingness, then check out the Ascension Adventure experiences, such as the Colombia Portal of Liberation is our signature experience, as well as the Journey to Remembrance. And we are just here to shine the light into the fucking soul, my loves, and you get to be all that you are, that we can create this new earth together. So thank you for being here. Enjoy the transmission.
Woohoo! Happy Magic Monday.
Did we just get here?
What?
Were we always there, or did we just get here?
Great question from last week, right?
Yeah.
Always
Hello,
been here.
and happy Magic Monday to Practical Magic.
Yes, say hello when you come in. I'm going to pull up Facebook on my phone with no sound so that we can see comments. That will be amazing. Let us say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We're super excited to share today about our journeys, our sacred plant medicine journeys were nothing short of profound.
Nothing short of profound. Holy moly. It was out there. And I would say that that is saying a lot coming from me and you. I think we live in the out there, just about every day, all the time. And this really took it to a whole new level for both of us.
Yeah, for sure. For sure is an incredible experience to have together as well.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, it was just, yeah, I'll let you take it away. I mean, we both had very different experiences, but we both walked away with so much. So I would love for you to start.
Yeah, so first the sacred sacraments that we journeyed with was psilocybin, sometimes referred to as like magic mushrooms. So it was psilocybin and 5-MeO, which is referred to as toad medicine. Some people say poison. It is medicine. It is a sacred sacrament. And we are so grateful to have been able to partake and spend time with those amazing spirit medicines, holy moly. For those, I mean, if you're in practical magic, yeah.
I wanted to say we really prepared for it as well,
Yeah.
cleaning up our diets. This wasn't just something we went and did with a group of people. They're spiritual seekers. We prepared our bodies for it. We prepared our minds for it. We went in with deep intentions of what we wanted to learn and know as a result.
Yeah, right. So the journey began long before the medicine, right? The journey began with intention. It began with ceremony. It began with blessing the medicine. It began at home before we ever left, with taking care of our bodies to be able to receive such high vibration.
Yeah.
And so, I don't even know where I was.
You said if you've been in practical magic, you
Oh,
know.
you know that we go really deep, right? We are playing in the quantum field. We are playing with infinite intelligence, with source energy, high consciousness, creating our reality, knowing the difference between distortion and illusion and truth and love. And what this medicine delivered was a deeper knowing. One of the things that really came to me was, oh, I thought I knew, but now I know.
Yeah.
Right, like there was a difference between, oh, I think I know, I believe this so strongly, I can sometimes say the word I know this to be true, and yet within the medicine it was this is what truth was. And some of the truths that came out, I mean, they came in many different ways, and there's just truly not enough time in Magic Monday to describe all of them, so we're just going to go through some of the truths, those big T truths that came through for us, these non-negotiable truths, these truths that is a truth for all of humanity, not what is true for me and what is true for Michelle and what is your own truth, right? No, but what is true. And so I'll name a couple of mine, and then Michelle can jump in and name hers as well. But one of the truths that came through was, what you do to one, you do to all. So when we love one person, whether that is our child or ourselves, we are loving all of humanity.
Mhm.
And if we harm one person, we have harmed all of humanity. And that was the very first message that came through 5-MeO for me, was what we do to one, we do to all. The other truth that came through for 5-MeO is that what we have labeled, our humanness does this interesting thing, which is we label something which then narrow focuses it so much that it actually loses its magic or its essence, right? And so we have labeled light and dark, and my experience was seeing that they were the same. And there's lots of people that find their purpose in fighting the dark and hailing the light.
Yeah.
And so what I learned is that there is one energy, And I feel like I have talked about that so much in Practical Magic and Walking Between Worlds and the Sophia Mystery School, that at a core, there is oneness, right? And when we can start deciphering, oh, the experience of this oneness looks like this, and the experience of this oneness looks like this, now we have created duality and we are instantaneously in distortion, which is okay. It's actually a beautiful distortion that allows us to have a multitude of experiences. But then our human mind comes in and we say, oh, the best way to describe this is dark. And the best way to describe this is light. And immediately our ego goes to good and evil.
Mhm.
And what I noticed in 5-MeO is that it is one source and everything belongs, and we are all so safe.
Yeah, so powerful. So powerful. That's so good, Megan. And that was one journey.
That was one journey. Exactly. In 5-MeO, I did two, not separate, but one trip in, and then I came out, and then I went one more trip in. And those were just, yeah, just in that. And there was so much more to it. But again, I want Michelle to be able to share and us to hit on some other things and all of that.
Right. Well, one thing I noticed right away, which was super timely and profound, was that in the location we went to, the last time I was there was 26 years ago, when I was 26 years old, to become certified as a hypnobirthing instructor. And I hadn't been there since. And so it was like I had stepped on my path at 26 years old through the hypnobirthing process. And then 26 years later, I am back in that space. And so much of my experience was like a birth. My body had felt like I had birthed. Our first experience with medicine was with Hape, and you had a very gentle experience. And what my body chose to do was purge, and it felt less gentle. And afterwards, I was like, wow, I feel like I just had a baby. My adrenaline was going. I was shaking and cold. And I was like aware, like, I feel like I felt like after a baby. And my experiences kind of strung together. My first awareness with psilocybin was definitely, oh, I am the knowing, right? Like I am the code of the Divine Mother. And to continue off of you, I was completely liberated from all fear. When in February, when I did ayahuasca, I was faced with a lot of fears, and that fear of like the evil and, just total evil. And after that first day, I was like, oh, I had the knowing like you. It's like, oh my gosh, there is no evil. The divine love is in every aspect. And I came out of that space fully liberated from fear. It was absolutely, I have been so light ever since in from that experience of just knowing, oh, there is no the duality, like you said, that it's all one thing. And then I had an awareness too, coming back to the Divine Mother. I have often, I have associated very much with Mother Mary, and I have always been a mother. I became pregnant the first time at 14 years old. I gave birth the first time at 15 years old. So more of my life has been a mother than has not been a mother, for sure. And so I carry that mother energy, and I was aware of that. But what I know for sure now is a tone that I carry, a frequency and essence that I carry. And we talk a lot about neutrality, right? In our teachings of not looking at something as good or bad and being in a neutral space. And some people have expressed a concern, well, I don't want to be numb. I don't want to not feel anything. And what I experienced was being, and I was actually toning through my mouth, this tone of gentle pleasure. That is where the pendulum that is the center. It's not neutral, it's a gentle pleasure. And I could feel that through my body and toning. And I had other people, one of the women who was near me on the retreat while I was toning, while we were on medicine, said, thank you so much for that. That brought me so much comfort. And that was my biggest takeaway. You know, my intention was to know who I am in truth. And that it was definitely something that's like, oh, I am the mother code, the Sophia code. I hold the tone, that center place that creates this grounded safety where everyone can safely play and comfortably play in bliss or in misery. It's all okay, right? We're here to experience the whole piece. And as we awaken, we can experience more gentle pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that piece of choice, that piece around choice was then my experience in psilocybin. And so what it actually looks like in psilocybin, because this is something like I loved hearing people's messages before I went in, but I also want to be like, but what does it look like? What does it feel like? What is different? And what it feels like is unity. It feels like unity with the divine. It feels like you are all things and all things are you.
Yes.
There's vibrant colors. There's more colors than what we see right now, right? The shades are unique. Nothing that I see like on a regular basis. Now, if I go into a deep meditation, every once in a while I can get there and I can hold that place for a bit. But within the medicine, you are holding that consciousness and that knowing and that freedom and that sovereignty for hours. Now, when I say a bit, I mean, I can grasp it for a moment, a minute, 3 minutes. And then I go back into where there's also some humanness, and then back into the bliss and the all knowing, and then back into the humanness. Within the medicine, you are holding a knowing for very extended amounts of time. And the colors are there. There's lots of movement. You can see lots of other people within one person, which is how I came to know that me and Michelle have now we have hypothesized and theorized, oh, I'm sure we've had lots of lifetimes together as mother and daughter. Maybe I was the mom and she was the daughter. And instead this time I had memories, images, memories in the sense of as though I have chills, as though it happened yesterday, where she and I were running and playing as little girls. And we were oftentimes best friends. So maybe in a couple of lifetimes, sisters. And this is the first time that we've been mother-daughter, that we've always been this best of friends, and that we've had what our humanness may call challenging lifetimes together. And we've always been that light for one another, that we're safe to play. And I had these memories of us kind of like running behind a couch and like giggling and just being, just making a ruckus kind of, right? Just like being silly and fun little girls. And at one point we made eye contact while with the medicine. And I don't think that I have ever laughed so. And we've been together for 33 years now. We've had some solid laughing fits, but nothing that was this blissful. I mean, I was laughing so hard I was crying. I mean, I could hardly breathe. I remember at one moment saying like, it tickles, like this is how fun it is. It's like this full body tickle. And so that was one of the knowings, right? That was there. And here's two of my favorite knowings that came from psilocybin, which is everything belongs.
Mhm.
Everything belongs. And I can't even tell you how much peace this has brought to my life, knowing that nothing needs fixed, that nothing needs changed, nothing needs healed. It all belongs. And that the choice of pleasure or struggle is always present, right? And that the struggle is actually not a lesser experience of this humanness than the bliss, right? And that the bliss is not a higher or more important experience than the struggle, but that they are both equally available at every single moment, right? And I had this illusion of like, oh my gosh, all this time I thought, once I get to this point, then it will be easier, and that's where I truly belong. We actually belong anywhere we choose. And here's the fun piece is that we actually get to choose, like choice, 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 choice was like a resounding message. Choice. You can be in that gentle pleasure in every moment, regardless of what is happening.
Yes. Yes. So important, right? We get to be in that gentle pleasure, regardless of what is happening. And that's so important after the end of the week, last week, with so many decisions happening in the Supreme Court, to realize that gentle pleasure is still a choice. That choice can never be taken away. It can never be taken away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'm sorry, but I wanted to go in a little bit about us being little girls, and because you also experienced a healing around carrying my sadness. And that was something that I had believed before, is that you and I came in together for a shared soul purpose, and that we have supported each other in our healing and our growing. And that was something that you experienced, was like, okay, I don't have to carry this anymore. And I would love for you to share your experience, because we were in a medicine space, and then you moved upstairs. And then, so can you kind of talk about that a little bit, like how we each move forward, and then the other one of us moves forward. You said it in such a wonderful way.
Yeah, and I'll do my best. And for everyone that's listening, to put this experience in human words just doesn't do it service, right? Like I explained before, the very first distortion was to see that there was two separate energies, and yet it is where we live, right? We live in a space where there is the masculine and there is the feminine, and it is the ultimate distortion. It's the first distortion that allows all other distortions, and they belong. Right? It's what actually makes it really fun to live here, to have this experience. Yet that narrows what the full experience and knowing was. And so as I'm describing this to you, I want you to be in like this really open-hearted, open-minded space, as opposed to like making a story about it, right? Like, oh, this was a good experience or not a good experience. It just was. And where that started was, in the beginning, we started downstairs in this beautiful meditation space. And this is where I saw us as little girls running and playing, and having the knowing that, oh, there was some what our humanness would call dark lifetimes together, right? Abuse, sadness. And now here's the thing, in that moment, there was no like, oh, that's so sad that it was a sad lifetime. Instead, it was, that is beautiful that we shared that experience. And look at how we still found laughter. Look at how we still found joy. Look at how we still found each other, right? There was such beauty in that exact existence. And then there was a moment where I went to the bathroom and I had a whole experience there. And I had this realization that, oh, I'm ready to go upstairs into the light. Downstairs was dark, like for meditative space, right? Beautiful music playing, dim lights,
It
amazing.
was wonderful.
It was wonderful and gorgeous, and I thought it was the best place to be. Okay. And so I decided that I was ready to go upstairs. I told one of the women that were supporting that, okay, I'm ready to go upstairs. I need some light. And I felt this tug in like the back. And like the best way to describe it would be like a cord or kind of like a rope that said, oh, but I can't leave Michelle down here. Right. And at that time, she wasn't my mom. It was just like she was my best friend, right? Like, oh, I can't leave her behind. Like, I'm ready to go to like up in some light, but if I leave her behind, is she going to be sad? And then I still had this pulling that I gotta go, right? I gotta go. And so I went upstairs and I was on the couch and I was being delivered mangoes and people feeding me mangoes and telling me I'm a goddess and that being served is my innate space in this universe, right? That everything is within arm's reach. And I'm just loving this. I'm pretty sure that I had made it to the upper room or to heaven. Okay. And I'm in this space and I have this sort of sadness come over me. This wave of sadness is, oh, I've made it here and Michelle is still downstairs. Okay, Michelle is still downstairs. And then having this recognition that all of the nausea and pain and depression that I experienced earlier in life up until, my mid-20s or so had actually not been mine, right? That it was a shared experience, that this heaviness was Michelle's, and I had chosen to carry it so that she wouldn't have both memory and emotion, right? And that I could now turn that over. I could give it back to her. And I had this sort of tug of war that was like, but do I want to? I don't want to leave her with that. I mean, I've lived with it all this time. Why would I give it back to her? And having this knowing that the only way for her to transmute and alchemize it is to have it, right? And that I was no longer doing her a service to hold it, and that I couldn't remain in this upper space unless I could let that go. And she couldn't get to this upper place ever unless she held it and transmuted it. And so I let that go, and I had sadness and I had tears. And then I had this quiet silence of everything is perfect. And there was someone that sat up from the couch and I heard laughter, right? And I look over to this big, huge window where I can see the trees going in the breeze and this bright sun coming through. And she sits up and she looks out, and I said, what is all that laughter? And she said, they're all outside. I said, are they happy? And she said, they're so happy. And I said, should we go? And she said, yeah, we should go. And so I grab my blanket, and I have this big, fluffy, white, like fur looking blanket. I wrap it around me and I step outside. It could still bring me to tears. And it was beautiful. It was heaven on earth. And I stepped in just the slightest breeze. I stepped onto the grass and it was like my feet were melting into chocolate, right? Like it was heavenly. And the first person I saw was Mom, and she said, you made it. You decided to come. And I said, oh, you've been here all along? You're here? I thought we were done. Like I thought that we ended. Like I thought our lifetimes were complete. And so here she was already in heaven. Right. So in order for her to get to heaven, I first had to come out of the lower level, which allowed her to go in front. And then once I let go of her in that purgatory space, I went out to heaven, and there she was. And there's just no way to describe this. I mean, it was literally the upper room. It was literally heaven on earth. It all was gorgeous. And one of the codes that came through where I said, wow, that was a journey to get here. And one woman said, or have we always been here?
Yeah.
And blew my fucking mind. I mean, it still gives me chills. We were always already there, veering off to have these other experiences that so belonged, right? And so the way that it came out in my humanness, and sometimes I hesitate sharing this because, again, it brings it in such a narrow focus that it doesn't incorporate all of the freedom and bliss and joy that was at every level. But the downstairs kind of represented this dungeon, right? Kind of like represented this dungeon feel that was so much fun. When you're there, it's just fun. It's like, yeah, this is exactly where I be, where I be. This is where I be. Fun, right? And then I went up into this upper room, which I thought was heaven. And that was actually purgatory, right? And that purgatory place is, one, blissful. You could just stay there forever. But two, it is a space of choice. Where do I want to play now? Do I want to go back down into all of this duality, or do I want to go out to this unity? Right. Yeah. And then I stepped outside, and that was heaven on earth. That was the upper room. We had literally been delivered back to the knowing, right? So we had never actually left there. Just parts of our souls had veered off to have these other fun experiences. And then once we were back there, it was like, well, one, that was a long journey, but wow, I wonder if I would have enjoyed the journey more knowing that I ended here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So powerful. And we're going to close here. We've gone long today, but it's so powerful. The basement too, talking about the dungeon, was very much the Matrix, right? And I talk about this in my higher perspectives. The Matrix is this one point in time, and it's fun. There is so much experience to have in this space that you can easily forget that they're outside of this one point in time. There is so much more, because there's so much experience to have here. So I love that you bring that forward. And so exciting that, here you were like letting go. Like, we don't have to play this game anymore, you and I, of I'll hold your sadness and I'll hold your sadness, and we'll, you cut that cord. And when you went upstairs, I was like, oh, I'm going to go out and eat now, right? I got my mango, and I was like, I'm going to go outside, and it was just glorious. And I was just so eagerly awaiting you to come out. And it was just an absolutely beautiful experience. We are forever changed in this. How we will do our work is changed. And definitely, I got to have the ayahuasca experience first. That was a very healing, just burning off so many layers of past lives and this life experience to go into the experience that we had last week. So
truly, some people will say it's like 10 years of therapy. No, it was 10 years of activation. Sure, there was definitely, 10 or 20 years of healing, but there was also that much activation, right? And that was massive. So for anyone who has ever considered it, one, find yourself someone amazing. We went through Marci Locke,
absolutely,
mentor, and quite honestly, I wouldn't recommend anyone else. Nope. Because she was just there at every dimension, every parallel, every level, in the bliss, in the pain, in the glory, in the transmutation of it. So yeah, if you've ever had the calling, I recommend.
Oh, absolutely. Marci Locke, absolutely. She walks her talk. She is 100% pure authenticity and love for what she does, and is living her purpose 100%. So, all right. Well, I want to. Yes, that's a pretty dang magical Monday. We won't be here next Monday since it's the 4th of July, and Megan is moving next weekend. So we're going to take a break from Magic Monday. And I invite you into our Trinity membership, where we bring light and love and training and expansion and readings and tapping. And tomorrow night is, I think it's tomorrow night. Yeah. Sound healing with Tori. We bring high vibes to you almost every week of the month. So we invite you to join us there. Tori will put the link in the comments below. It's a great way to stay connected with us and stay in the high vibes. Until later.
Until next time. Bye.
Until next time. Bye for now.